We also thought, all right, what are other ways we can show what's happening to the victims? A simple way we came up with was taking shoes, labeling them with the names of Iraqis who had died, and taking them to public places and standing vigil quietly outside of libraries, outside of public places, outside of the offices of the Congress people who keep voting for money for this war. But we were so frustrated by what was happening in Washington and the huge disconnect between what the American people wanted and what the people in Washington were doing, especially after 2006 when we voted in a new democratically controlled Congress and they still weren't doing what we wanted them to do, that we opened a house in Washington, D.C., a 5-bedroom CodePink house that has been the center of everyday, constant going out into the Hill to tell Congress to respect the rights of the people. We go into these hearings, and never before in these hearings have they seen the public going in and doing things like this, and they don't know what to do with us. They said, you can't hold those signs. We said, don't we have the right in the First Amendment? They'd arrest us, we'd come back in the next day with more signs. They would tell us, you can't wear the shirts that you're wearing with words on them. We say, where does it say in the Constitution that we're not allowed to wear shirts with words on them? We go in, when they take our signs away, well then we have our faces painted in mourning. Every time they come up with something we can't do, we say, all right, then we'll bring in our glasses, because you can't tell us we can't wear glasses. They're always finding a way to get around what they say we can't do. Every time Condoleezza Rice comes into a hearing, there we are, and you might have seen this most iconic. Retirement money as a school librarian and come to Washington, D.C. and now runs the house. And one thing I do want to make sure that I say to you is this house is your house. And you are welcome to come whenever you can, a long weekend, a week, men, women. We need you there to join us in the halls of Congress. We had an incredible campaign. This picture came out on the front page of the New York Times. These pictures, we followed Gonzalez wherever he went. We did a bigly vigil in front of the Justice Department. We snuck in that big head into the hearings. And we also went to every single hearing on torture. We would put the hoods over our heads. They tell us you can't have the hoods over our heads. We said you shouldn't have to have them in Guantanamo. In fact, close Guantanamo. Here we are in our orange jumpsuits. And we even went in torture. We took our campaign around Guantanamo to Guantanamo because we thought maybe if we went actually to Cuba, the media would follow us there. That was one example of getting creative about how do we bring the issue of Guantanamo into the mainstream media. Cindy Sheehan came with us, Colonel Ann Wright. But what made this a media story, and especially for the international media, where we get most of our coverage, is that we got families whose children were in Guantanamo. This woman, her son was there, this man here, his brother is there, and we had somebody from that spent 3 years as a prisoner in Guantanamo who also accompanied us on this trip to tell his stories. We do something called extreme lobbying. We go into the offices of our congresspeople, sometimes dressed like this. We had a very successful campaign around Hillary Clinton. We brought 100 people into her office to do a sit-in and wouldn't leave until they brought her off of the floor of the Senate to talk to us. And this was right after she had done her terrible vote. And we did a video of our meeting with her that became something that the media to say what Hillary Clinton was saying about being proud of her vote for the war. And I think this helped in really distinguishing between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, as Hillary, someone who not only voted for the war, but until she found out how unpopular it was, continued to justify her vote for the war. We started a campaign called Listen Hillary. We did everything like sneak into her fundraisers. When we couldn't walk in, we went in caterers' uniforms, went in straight into the restaurant, and popped out from behind in the kitchen. Nancy Pelosi, my district, said that she wouldn't stop the funding of the war. In the only town hall meeting that she's had in the last 2 years, we stood there the entire time during her talk to show that her constituents wanted her to stop funding the war. And when she said impeachment wasn't on the table, we went to her house. We've done fast, 30-day fast. This woman did a fast to try to get a meeting with Joe Lieberman. Every day went into his office. He wouldn't meet, he wouldn't meet, we wouldn't meet. Finally, one day she collapsed on the floor of his office. The ambulances came in to get her. The media took a picture of that. It was on the front page of Roll Call magazine. The next day she got a meeting with Joseph Lieberman to say, we do not want you to be talking about invading Iran. That is obscene. Stop doing it. We get arrested many times. This was during a joint session of Congress when the Prime Minister of Iraq came and started speaking about how the Iraqi people want the troops there. I got in, can't tell you how, but got out there to say the Iraqi people want the troops to leave, bring the troops home. This was during the Republican National Convention when, don't ask us how we got in there, and my co-founder Jody Evans took off her dress, and there she was wearing a pink slip and started talking during Bush's acceptance speech. Sometimes we get arrested in different kinds of uniforms. This was in Condoleezza Rice's speech. This is an example when we try to find a target like Halliburton. How do you get the media to cover something when Halliburton has no visible place for you to go? This was in front of their office, but the media didn't come to cover it. So we went and dressed up as our version of Halliburton lobbyists and went through the halls of Congress thanking them for the millions of dollars. And then when the Republicans had a convention, we thought surely Halliburton will be throwing a party. They weren't throwing a party, so we threw a party in the name of Halliburton and sent out press releases. The press came and covered us, and here we were giving the party for the GOP on behalf of Halliburton. We go where the media is, like in some of these auto shows, take over things like Hummers. We go to the SEC hearings, this time dressed up as a corporate whore. When the DNC created, the Democratic Convention created a free speech zone and said that was the only place we could exercise our free speech rights, we went in like this to say no, the free speech zone is the United States of America.
Yeah!
That started off their campaign around the elections. Sometimes it's the controversy that feeds the media. Groups like this group called the Free Republic follows us around, calling us terrorists. Took a poster like this, and a banner like this, photoshopped it to a banner like this, and sent it all over media to get people riled up and to come out to counter-protest CodePink. That actually helps us and gives us a lot of reasons for the media to come and cover our events, so we kind of thank them. We use art because pictures speak 1,000 words. We also, here's some examples. But I wanted to end with two things. One is, well, we want the media coverage because we want the world to know how opposed to the policies that we are. We are doing it for these future generations. And while in the work that is so serious and about life and death issues, we feel it's important to reflect the kind of community we want to have. And it is this community and the love and joy that we bring into our work that is the vision we would like to see in the rest of the world. Thank you very much.